For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. And if you've been listening to this show for any length of time, you know that the start is when you have the energy, right? Thank you very much, Larson. Let's go. It's a bit of a different show today, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, our team had a bit of time off, and we've been together for 20 years. Our team, we don't have turnover. We don't have new people coming in. It's our same group of people. From the time that we started, when we were producing our syndicated radio shows, putting out books, newspaper content, other audio programming for other platforms, we've had the same group of people for almost over 20 years. Some of us have been together 20 years. We've known each other for a long time, but not everybody worked here at the same time. It was a bit. I met a bunch of these people at a publishing company where I was an editor, and then I started the company, and then I gradually, once I was successful and had money that I could pay people, then they eventually came over, okay? So that's what... But yes, we've known each other, we've worked with each other in some capacity for over 20 years. And we talk regularly, so even when, yes, somebody does have time off, even when it's the holidays, even when it's middle of the night, or, we are in contact. And I cringe when I hear companies talk about, you're part of the such and such family, right? You're part of the company ABC family. You're part of the such and such family. I would say that we're probably, I would say that we're closer than family in some instances where we legitimately have been with each other. So they use the word family when they're talking about that for a sense of, the closeness or whatever. No, we're actually we're pretty much like family, where I've known, Bonnie's grandkids, I've been around longer than they have, right? So they've been around longer than my husband's been around. So, we've gone through life's, moments together. So when we were on a break, I reached out to our executive producer, Bonnie Winters. And again, because, it's time off. I haven't seen her in a couple days, haven't talked to her, whatever it is. And I called Bonnie, and her husband, Mike, answered the phone. Now, they've been married for over 50 years. And oh boy, is that revealing her age? She's not gonna be happy with this, folks. Bonnie's in her 70s, and I'm not gonna, whatever. And so Mike answered the phone. Now, in the entire time that I've known Bonnie, and the literally thousands of phone calls that we've had, I think Mike has answered the phone, maybe once or twice before, because either she had her hands, busy cooking or whatever it was. And so I said, hey, Bon, boy, you're sounding a little bit more feminine than usual. And he's like, oh, I'm transitioning. And so I was laughing, and he's like, how are you, Jeremy? And I said, good, how are you? I said, how are you guys? And he said, well, not very good. And I said, okay. So the laughter and the energy kind of just stopped. And I said, well, what's up? And he said, Bonnie had a small stroke. And I said, oh my God, right? Because, how do you respond? How do you react to that, right? It's different where, it's different if somebody has cancer and then they've been sick for a long time and you're kind of expecting it. We had that with my grandpa where, you're waiting, he's going to die. Just call me and tell me that he's dead, right? But you're preparing for for the worst. You know that it's coming. Something like this, though, obviously, it's like when somebody has a heart attack, right? You're kind of like, oh my God, really? And so I just said oh my God, what's going on? And he explained what happened. We were at home and she just kind of said, there's just something wrong. Like, I just feel like there's something with my face and whatever. And so, I said, oh, okay. And he's like, I took her to the hospital and they said that's what it was. And, she's mobile though. And she can talk. She's a little bit tough to get around, but she can get around on her own. She's just going to need some, physical therapy, right? Some rehab and, medication and some, she got to strengthen up the body again. And I said, okay. And so they're expecting, long-term effects of this. Like, she's obviously not paralyzed. That's good. She's having, a bit of trouble speaking, which again is common. So is that going to be lifelong? And he said, well, it's again, your body does what it does, right? For some people, yes, some people no. I mean, and it's also how much you help it along too, right? If you don't do the exercises that you're supposed to do, if you don't take the medication that you're supposed to, then you're only hurting yourself, right? You're only hindering your recovery. And we know that Bonnie is, oh, how much can I tell about Bonnie? She's not an anti-vaxxer for the pandemic, for the corona thing, yes, but just for regular, she's not anti-measles or anything like that, but certainly with the vaccine. But she also just doesn't like medication. She does not like taking even just general like aspirin. And so I said that to Mike, like, well, we know how she is with that kind of stuff. And he said, yeah. So it's an awkward situation, right? Because they're in Alberta and I was not, at the time. And I said, oh, so it's not like I can even just go and see her. They've got kids and whatever in Alberta. So, she goes and she visits the grandkids or whatever. So luckily, at least she was visiting, her family so that her sons and the grandson, well, she's got 2 grandkids now. One's a baby though. So, baby doesn't know her. But, at least they were able to, visit and she was, with a lot of family members, which was great. And so I talk for a living, right? I have conversations with people all the time. I know Mike. We've known each other for years. I didn't really know how to handle that call. Like, I don't know. How long do I keep him? I know he's not much of a talker, and I know this is probably hard on him as well. He's got a gruff exterior, so I know that I can't and they know that I'm the jokester and, how I am anyway. So I'm sitting here going, how long do I drag this out? Like, do I just keep asking questions? Is this too sensitive? Is this still too fresh? I mean, so we talked, it was just a few minutes. It's not like I didn't keep him on the line for 45 minutes. Bonnie's like drowning in drool. I gotta go. No. So, like I said, we had our jokes when we were on the call. And so it was, it's shocking, right? Because you're just like, this is somebody that I've known forever. Like, she's a feisty bitch. Let me tell you. 74 years old, she is still a feisty fucking bitch. She is. And if she's listening right now, but it makes you sort of take that pause. A couple weeks ago when we were talking on the show about somebody, committing suicide, and you're just like, whoa, that hits you. And it really makes you think about things. And so now, that I'm thinking about Bonnie going, okay, well, it's not as bad as it could have been. So that's great. What does this mean now? Selfishly, I'm thinking, do I need to find a new executive producer for our company? No, but like I said, thankfully we had a bunch of time off, so it's fine. And we've got other producers. It's not like we're all of a sudden just going to not be able to produce our shows. But it's one of your key people though, right? Like, this is where, this is not some intern that we've known for a week. I mean, she's not necessarily involved in every single show that we do or every single production, but definitely, she's aware of everything because that's what an executive producer is, right? She's orchestrating things behind the scenes. And so, can we do without her for a few weeks? Yes, of course we can. But it's just not the same though, right? When you have those meetings, there's just a routine that you get into after 2 decades of working with the same people. So even if we've joked, she for a while kind of retired when I stepped away from the Top 40 show and whatever, but she's, still doing our major productions that we do. We produce programming for airlines and things. And so we have a bunch of stuff because she genuinely likes what she does. And that's why when I retired from Top of the Charts after 4 years, I was like, okay, I'm just kind of done with everything and we're good. But I just have this passion, and just as the rest of our team does, for writing and for, producing and editing and whatever. So They're already telling me. Let me just be clear on this. I was actually supposed to do a very quick, like, 1.5 minute intro, and we're now going on 9 minutes. So maybe we can't handle her not being here. This is actually, I've just illustrated the point that we do need Bonnie Winters. I looked across the way. Oh, Bonnie's gonna love this. I looked across the way. She would be the one who would give me that, like, okay, let's go. And Tim, our other producer, is looking in the window going, he's not tapping his wrist, like, to his watch and going, let's go. And then I was like, oh shit, this is actually just the introduction, and we're now a third of the way through the show. So here's the deal. A little while ago, about an hour or so ago, I called Bonnie, and this was the first time that I was speaking to her since this happened. So I had the call with Mike, her husband, a couple of days ago, and then I just earlier today called Bonnie myself, and I wasn't sure if she's going to answer, if Mike's going to answer. I don't know if is she at home, is she in the hospital? I didn't know. So you're going to hear that call with Bonnie. It's a kind of a long drawn out call. She obviously does not have the energy. If you've listened to the show years ago or to our syndicated radio shows, she had much more, pep and zip in her step when we were doing those segments. Obviously, she's recovering, so she doesn't have the energy. It's not a lively conversation. I also kind of, didn't really know what to ask or say it sometimes. So it's a bit of a long segment. It's going to be played on the Scribble right after this. We'll be right back.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Hello.
She survived WW1, WW2, prostate cancer, corona, the unstoppable Bonnie Winters joining us on the phone, everybody. Wow.
Yeah.
How are things? I was talking with your husband. Let me just see here. Mitch, is it? I was talking with Mitch the other day, and he gave me some shocking news. So why don't you tell everybody the story?
Nope.
All right. So you had a problem at the seniors' home. I think it was bingo day. And
Okay, not recording. You're not.
you know that we're always on. We're always on. So Bonnie Winters, everybody, had a medical condition. She had an incident. Just to get off work is what that was why. That was the only reason.
I need to know. You're not.
You know that people care. So share with the class.
Well, my speech goes wonky every now and then.
Yeah, but do you know how many segments do we have you on wine? So nobody would know the difference. But okay, so
I'm way better on mine, believe me.
okay, so you had a weird feeling in your body, and you said to Mike, something's up.
Yeah, I said, we got to get to the hospital.
Okay.
And we did.
Something just came out of nowhere. It was just, what do you feel in that moment?
Well, you're not talking properly, and, all the stages they tell you to check. So I knew what was going on. So, had to get to the hospital.
So is there pain, or is it just, just something weird?
Well, Jeremy, you know what happens. Come on.
I've never had one before.
Oh, really? Oh, no excuse.
Okay, so Mike said you feel like you've got marbles or something in your mouth. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so then on the way to the hospital, how are you feeling? Like, what's going on?
Well, you're scared as all get out. Let's face it, it's scary. It's really scary.
And so how do you know when it's over?
Oh, boy. I don't know if you really know, because I think sometimes there can be residual issues. But anyway, it's over when it's over kind of thing. I can't really say. So,
How long were you experiencing the weird feeling in total?
well, you don't experience, like, the speech thing, I'm still having trouble with, so I have to go for therapy. And my arm is weak and can't use my hand properly, so I have to go for physio. All those things are as a result of, right?
Right.
But I was fortunate. I was very fortunate in many respects. Like, I had no trouble with finding words and things like that. It was just saying them clearly. And I was able to walk. It just affected my leg just slightly. It's just hard for me to do things with my right hand, like eat. And it's not strong anymore, that kind of thing. But I've heard from doctors that I look good, and
Excuse me. Sorry.
like as far as
even during a stroke, she's hitting on doctors, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, jeez. Well, that's how you guarantee the best care, right? I mean, you land a doctor. Now, speaking of which, Mike had me do a personal ad, or a dating profile for him. So tell him,
how nice.
tell him we're good to go on that.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
no, the pictures are hot. So now, I know you're a big fan of, medications and vaccines and things like that. So now going forward, you've got physio, you've got to sort of do, rehab on your body. And then what? Like, how long does this now play out until you're good to go?
Well, the medication aspect really is concerning. Some statins and blood pressure and aspirin. That's what I take now.
Forever, or for a short period of time, or what?
Forever.
Wow.
So, yeah. Because you don't want it happening again. And mine was or the type I had was genetic in nature. So, yeah, I had no idea.
So on a scale of 1 to 10 out of severity, when I talked with Mike, he described it as a small stroke. So on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of seriousness, what would this have been?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 6, 5, something like that.
And so, do they expect more because this is something that's passed on?
Well, because they know it's genetic, without being on the medication, it could happen again. So that's why you take the medication. The cholesterol statin gets the statin or the cholesterol out of your brain, because I have patches of cholesterol that are built up in vessels in my brain. And then if they break off, like one did, some cholesterol broke off, and then it collects blood platelets and forms a clot. And then you have reduced blood flow, and poof, you get the clot causes the stroke. So that's what happened to me.
How much did you know about this before going through it?
Well, I didn't know anything, because all my numbers except the cholesterol that is bad, that's always been a little high. But all my other numbers were so good, they never worried about that. Because the good numbers are very heart protective, and everything was good there. And when things are good in the heart, they're usually very good in the brain. So this wasn't the case for me. I had all this cholesterol that was forming in areas around my brain and the center of the brain that only showed up in an MRI. And all I had ever had was a CT angiogram. I had a couple of those, and they didn't show any clot. So then they dug deeper after the stroke, and that's where the clot showed itself.
Let's get to the important thing now. The wine consumption, the baking, the food. Where do we stand now with things?
Oh, I can still have wine.
Okay.
And I was always very careful with my food. I mean, I'm below, like I'm at the very low normal of my weight. I'm almost underweight. So weight wasn't a factor, and my heart was very healthy. I even had an echocardiogram, and my heart is pristine. Plumbing-wise, I'm just waiting to find out about the electric aspects of my heart. I wore a Holter for a while, and that tests all the electrical parts of your heart. I've never had that done. But my heart otherwise is pristine and working very well and doesn't have cholesterol built up in it. The cholesterol I have, and this is where the genetics comes in, I guess, is cholesterol that decided it was going to collect in the brain. So I have to get rid of that stuff and keep it clear.
It's interesting, of all the different, ailments or diseases or what have you that we get as we age, some of them are preventative, right? Sometimes it's a matter of watching what we eat or how we live, and then others can just, creep up and just, take you down.
Yeah. And if you're not aware of these genetic issues, which I wasn't, you're kind of, things come out of left field, and you're kind of shocked. So
you can walk. You said, arm, strength is a bit iffy. I mean, take me through the day then now of what difficult and what's normal for you now. Getting up out of bed.
That's tiring, because you do get tired with all these drugs and all this stuff, right? And you just have to push yourself. Really.
Getting around the kitchen, baking, making food. You're always doing that. Where does that stand?
That's a little tough because there's only so much I can do with my right arm and hand. I don't have enough strength to hold on to a lot of things or carry things. And plus, too, before all this happened, I had broken my knee.
Yo, that's right. That's right. Oh, tell that story too, Bon. You had company over. Go ahead. Tell this story. Somebody tried to take you out. Go ahead.
Well, our friend, large walker with big wheels, set his walker aside. And I walked over to him to give him a hug after they got here. And my foot caught on the wheel that was actually turned out, and I hadn't noticed. And down I went, broke my knee on the hardwood floor. So, yeah, there was a month there of like doing nothing because my leg was in a splint, a full splint, and I couldn't bend it. And all I could do was sit in a recliner. And that certainly didn't help keep my cholesterol down. I wasn't able to exercise or go for a walk or nothing. So that was not good. So whether that played a part, I don't know.
I mean, at some point, Mike can hear me, right, Mike?
I can hear you. Yeah.
At what point did you think, I'm just going to take her behind the barn and...
And shoot her?
It had to have crossed your mind, at least what? Come on now.
Did it cross your mind?
All right. Well, Bon, we are out of time because you know that we're on the air, as always.
Sure.
Well, it's been fun. We will see you again soon. We're hoping for the best. How long? It's funny because I'm listening to you. You know, we've known each other for how long now, would you say? 20 years? Almost? 20? Yeah.
No, more. Yeah.
You're sounding the drunkest you've ever sounded in all the years that I've known you, so...
Thanks for the compliment.
Hey, a doctor told you looked good, so I mean, what else do you need for your ego? Jeez. All right.
You know, it could have been worse, and I don't ever want it to happen again. And, you know, I just gotta do what I gotta do, right? So...
Keep on slugging. Well, that's one thing that I said to Mike when I talked to him. I said, well, if there's one stubborn old bat that can get through something like this...
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's a compliment-ish. All right. Well, Bonnie Winters, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sure thing.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here, back on the Scribble. It's I gotta admit, it's kind of haunting listening to that because that's not her. That's not Bonnie. That's not the Bonnie that I know. The voice is like the message is there, but the life is not there. If that makes sense, I don't know if that makes sense or what I'm trying to say. So it does, something like that hits you. We taped it an hour ago. I did need a bit of time to kind of go, holy shit, you know. It makes you think, and it took me back to when one of my relatives had cancer, and I knew about it, but I had not seen her. I hadn't seen her for probably about oh God, I don't know, 6-7 months. So she'd gone through treatments. She'd gone through a whole bunch of stuff. And I went with my parents. My parents were going to visit her one night, and to get to the hospital, they had to pass my house. And so they said, you know, well, we're going. Do you want to come? Yeah, fine. So pick me up. We'll all go. And so, you know, we're talking, whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go see, you know, Auntie Judy. Haven't seen her in a long time. And to get into the room, it was not the Auntie Judy that I knew. She was just a fraction of herself, right? Like, it's kind of, you just go, wow, she's, you know, it's taken its toll on her. And so to hear Bonnie, and I know she's going to recover fully. I know it. It's not even a question, but it's still just kind of, it just hits you. It really does. So we are going to be rooting for Bonnie. She's going to be hopefully producing our next show. Stick around for that, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to give me a shout anytime. It's always awesome hearing from you. live@jbonair.com is the email address. live@jbonair.com. I will talk to you next time on The Scribble. Bye-bye for now.
If you want some real